Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into the actual engine that drives any successful business, human resource management. We often think of business growth just in terms of sales numbers or shiny new products, but the real challenge, and honestly the real solution, lies in how a company manages its people. From the exact moment a hiring need is recognized, all the way through legal compliance and employee training, HR is the foundational pillar holding it all together. Whether you're an aspiring manager, a business owner, or just an employee navigating your own career, understanding this cycle is absolutely crucial. We're going to explore this journey step by step, taking complex management concepts and turning them into a clear masterclass.
Here is our roadmap for today. We'll hit the role of HR, recruitment and selection, internal versus external hiring, employment laws and contracts, and finally, types of employee training. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. The role of HR, more than just hiring. To frame this, I want to pose a question. What exactly does the HR department do beyond just filling vacancies? It's a super common misconception that HR is just an administrative hub that posts job ads and occasionally handles complaints. But the reality? Their scope is remarkably broad and completely critical to a company's survival.
Their day-to-day is massive. Sure, they fill vacancies, but they also have to figure out competitive wages, making sure employees are paid enough to stay motivated without paying so much that the business loses money. They're managing industrial relations, basically acting as the bridge between management and trade unions. They're constantly looking to the future by creating training programs. They are the absolute guardians of health and safety, making sure the company stays legally compliant to protect the staff and prevent lawsuits. And when things just don't work out, they have to ensure dismissals are handled fairly and legally. It is a huge balancing act.
Moving on to Section 2, the recruitment and selection process. This takes us to the very beginning of the employee lifecycle, that exact moment a business realizes, hey, we have a vacancy and we need a new worker. Notice how this whole process is actually broken down. Steps 1 through 3, job analysis, creating the description and spec, and advertising, that is recruitment. That's all about just getting applications to come into the business. But steps 4 and 5, shortlisting and interviewing, that is selection. That's filtering everyone down to choose the absolute best fit.
Now here's a crucial distinction that honestly trips a lot of people up. During the analysis phase, you create two very different documents. The job description is all about the job itself. What are the tasks? What are the duties? The person's specification, on the other hand, is all about the human. What qualifications, experience, and specific qualities must this person have to actually pull off those tasks? Basically, one defines the work and the other defines the worker. So for example, the job description might be making the coffee, but the person's spec must be highly organized and incredibly punctual.
Section 3. Finding the right fit, internal versus external hiring.
Okay, so once we have that person specification nailed down, we have to ask ourselves, where do we actually find this candidate? Do we look inside our own company walls, or do we cast a massive net out into the general public? It's one of the biggest strategic decisions HR has to make.
Let's break down these two distinct pathways. Internal recruitment is exactly what it sounds like, promoting an existing employee to fill a vacancy, which is usually a more senior position. External recruitment is bringing in fresh blood, a brand new candidate from completely outside the business, and both of these choices have major strategic ripple effects.
It is all about trade-offs here. Internal recruitment is fantastic because it saves a ton of time and money on advertising. The person already knows the company vibe, and it really motivates your staff because they see actual career progression. But the downsides? You've got a super limited talent pool. It might stir up some jealousy among coworkers who weren't chosen, and think about it, you just created a brand new vacancy lower down that you still have to fill. External recruitment, on the flip side, brings in fresh ideas, new perspectives, and a massive applicant pool. But it is pricey, it takes way longer, and there's a much higher risk of making a hiring mistake because, well, you don't really know them yet.
But whether you look internally or externally, the final decision usually boils down to a few key factors. You're looking at their direct work experience and their education. You definitely have to align on salary expectations, because if you find the perfect person but can't afford them, it's a no-go. And you really cannot overlook personality and culture fit. Seriously, someone could have perfect experience and a stellar degree, but if they have a combative personality and clash with everyone, they're a bad fit, especially in roles requiring strong customer or team relations.
Section 4. Making it official. Contracts and legal controls.
All right, so everything kicks off with the employment contract. And let's be clear, this isn't just some formality.
It is a binding, written legal document that lays out the job title, working hours, salary, and the rules of engagement. Getting all of this in writing is absolutely critical because it clearly outlines responsibilities and stops future disputes dead in their tracks by protecting the rights of both the employer and the employee.
And that contract is huge because once it's signed, employees lock in some very strong legal protections. Take unfair dismissal, for example. That's when an employer fires someone without a valid cause or when the employee didn't actually do anything wrong. If that happens, the employee literally has the right to challenge the business in a court of law and go after financial compensation.
Then we have the strict prohibition against discrimination. Governments make it crystal clear. Everyone has to be treated equally at work. Treating workers differently, whether you're hiring, managing day-to-day, or firing based on their age, gender, race, or color is completely illegal. HR has to make absolutely sure the working environment is totally fair and neutral.
Rounding out the legal side, we have the legal minimum wage. This is just a baseline payment amount set strictly by the government. It's pretty straightforward. Businesses must legally pay their workers at least this amount, and falling short of this standard isn't just a bad look, it opens the company up to immediate and severe legal challenges.
Section 5. Developing talent. Types of employee training.
So now we're entering the final stage of our life cycle, developing that talent. Training is absolutely vital because it boosts productivity, keeps people satisfied in their jobs, and cuts down on expensive workplace mistakes. Generally, businesses use three main approaches here: induction training, on-the-job training, and off-the-job training. Let's look at how each one works.
First up is induction training. Think introduction. This happens right when the employee starts. It's the grand tour, a guide to the facilities, and a crash course in company policies. Now, yeah, planning this pulls managers away from other work, but it is incredibly valuable. It drastically cuts down on early beginner mistakes, helps the new hire settle in way faster, and really builds their immediate confidence.
Next, we have the classic matchup, on-the-job versus off-the-job training. On-the-job training happens right there in the workplace, supervised by experienced coworkers. It's highly cost-effective and really fast. But here's the catch. If the colleague training them has bad habits, guess what? Those bad habits get passed right along to the new hire. Off-the-job training sends the worker away to a dedicated classroom environment with specialized instructors. You get zero workplace distractions and top-tier knowledge. The downside, it's really expensive, and you totally lose that worker's output while they're gone.
Which brings us to what I like to call the ultimate HR dilemma. Think about it. If you spend time and resources to highly train an employee, they gain all these fantastic skills, and they might just leave your company for a better salary elsewhere, taking your investment right out the door with them. But consider the alternative. If you don't train them just to save a few bucks, they remain unskilled, and they might stay. It's the ultimate risk-reward scenario in human resource management. How a business navigates that dilemma really defines its long-term success. So, looking at your own organization or career, are you investing enough in growth or are you too afraid of what happens if people leave? Thanks for joining me on this explainer. I hope this masterclass has given you a powerful new perspective on how businesses truly grow.